Good morning, W.W. Robinson. Today is March 27th, 2019, and I have Brendan here with me this morning. How are you, Brendan?
Good.
Are you ready for a great Wednesday?
Yeah.
Or if we make it through today, we're halfway through, right?
Yes.
All right. It is day 5 in our rotation, and tell us what is for lunch.
Grizzly pizza with sweet potato puffs, peas, apple wedges, strawberry cups, twist of milk.
Sounds good. And we have Kylie here this morning to tell us about the weather. Kylie, come over and give us some good news. What's the weather today?
Sunny.
It is sunny. Now, is it warm or is it cool out right now? It's a little cool, but maybe it'll warm up this afternoon. What do you think? You think you'll get to go outside for recess? I think so. All right, thank you. And we have Avea here to lead us in the pledge, so please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Avea. Good job. Please join me for a moment of silence. Thank you. All right, we have some birthdays today. Celebrating on the 27th, we have Jordan Kasperzak, Noah McKenzie, Andrew Shiley, and Jace Wallace. So happy birthday to those folks. Hope you have an absolutely wonderful birthday. And we have Elizabeth here to share a kindness quote with us. Come on over, Elizabeth. What you got for us? Here, can I hold this up? Okay. You want to tell everybody what it says? Do you remember?
Be kind when possible. It's always possible. By Dudley Mama.
All right. So do you want to tell everybody what that means?
It means like when you see someone that's lonely, you can be kind to them because you see them and they're lonely, you can be kind to them.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. All right. So before we get started on our book today, and before Brendan does his shout outs, I just want to give a reminder to all of the students at Robinson. So the last few days, we've been having lots of office referrals for students, and I'm not really sure what's going on. I know there's been some substitutes in the building, and we haven't been listening to our substitutes very well. We also haven't been listening to our regular teachers very well. So we need to get back on track. We have a lot of school left, and it's going to be a really long time until the end of the year if we're already starting to have our spring fever and get into trouble and not make good choices. We need to make good choices while we're at school. We have a job to do. Your teachers have a job to do, and that is to teach you. And you have a job, which is to learn and be respectful and listen to your teachers. So please, let's all work together to make that happen. If we don't work together, like I said, it's going to be a really long end of the year, and we don't want that. We don't want it to be that way. And we have a lot of fun things that come up at the end of the year, and we don't want to lose those things because we can't trust that our students are going to make good choices. So please help your teachers today and from here on out by making good choices. If you have a problem, see your teacher and talk to them about it. And don't handle those things on your own because sometimes that doesn't always work out either. All right. So shout outs, Brendan. Who you got?
Carter Patton, Blake Arnold, and Justin Fletcher in the semis class.
All right. So if you remember, Billy, we think might have a prosthesis leg. They're not really sure what happened, but they see that he has that there's a leg in the garage, and Benji fainted. When I opened my eyes a few seconds later, Tazy and Alexander were standing right over me. Elvis reached down, grabbed me by my belt buckle, and pulled me back up onto my feet. I was a little wobbly, so he leaned me up against the wall. The song was playing again, but not as loud this time. What did I miss? Billy Thompson plays the guitar, Tazy informed me very matter-of-factly. Alexander chimed in. And by the looks of it, he's pretty good. This is a complicated song to play. For a moment, I wondered if what I'd seen had been all a dream. I tried to speak, but my throat was really dry. Does anyone have any water? I asked, and Alexander nodded. He opened his rolling bag and pulled out a flask and handed it to me. A flask? I needed something flat to fit in my bag. Don't worry, it's just apple juice. So did I miss anything else besides Billy's musical talents? It got even weirder. We saw Billy put on an entirely different foot with a totally different shoe on it, said Tazy. It wasn't the high top foot that was on the floor. It was a foot that had a Nike high performance cross trainer on it. Okay, why are we still talking about Billy's shoes? He took off his foot and then he put on a different foot with a different shoe. Oh, right. Yes, I keep forgetting about the shoe part. You know why? Because I was still stuck on the part where he took off his foot. How could we not know that Billy Thompson has a fake foot? Shh, Benj, keep your voice down, whispered Tazy. I guess he lost his foot somehow and now he wears a prosthetic one, that's all, Alexander said simply. But I'm guessing it happened to him a long time ago because you can't tell it at all. Maybe he was born like that. Maybe an alligator bit it off. Or a shark. Or maybe he got bitten by an alligator and a shark and they were fighting over him, he added excitedly. I don't know about all that, but you're right. He has no problem walking or running. There's been plenty of times he's chased me down the hall, I said. I feel weird about all of this. It's just so surprising. I've never met anyone who's missing a limb. Well, that's not actually true. Once while I was waiting to get an x-ray, I sat next to a guy with only one arm. But he didn't have a fake one. He just had an empty sleeve. Maybe I'm feeling so weird because I'm hungry. I usually have a snack after school when I get home. Does anyone have anything to eat? I think my blood sugar level's getting low. It might make me cranky soon. I sat down against the garage wall. Soon? I'd say you're already there. Tazy smiled and I gave her a look. What? I just call it like I see it. Alexander went through his bag again and tossed me something wrapped in tinfoil. Here, it's from my emergency chocolate stash. You have an emergency chocolate stash? It's not for me. It's my mom. She has me keep it for her because if she has it in her purse, then she'll eat it all. I nodded. This made perfect sense to me. I had a feeling my mom and Alexander's mom would get along like gangbusters. I opened up the tinfoil and offered a piece to Tazy. I'm not supposed to snack during the day. Really? Now's when you're going to start following the rules? Fine. She grabbed a square and popped it into her mouth. Alexander reached over and broke off a large chunk. Well, if everybody's ruining their appetite for dinner, then I want some too. He snapped his piece in half. Here, Elvis, you want a little? And then Alexander tossed a tiny chunk of chocolate in the air toward Elvis. Everything went in slow motion from there. Tazy and I both screamed, "No!" Tazy dived, and I mean dived, way out like she was catching a ball between first and second base. Right before the piece landed in Elvis's mouth, she knocked it away with her hand, and then she slammed face down in the ground. It was pretty unbelievable and also extremely impressive. Talk about taking one for the team. Tazy, are you okay? I popped the remaining square into my mouth and rushed to her side. She rolled over. When I touched her shoulder, she was smiling. I've still got it, she said with a laugh. If by got it, you mean the crazies, then yeah, you do, I said, now smiling myself. Alexander, I'm going to need some backup. Alexander and I each offered her a hand. She was so much bigger than us, it took two of us to pull her up. I turned to see Elvis sniffing around the ground. Elvis, no, you cannot have chocolate. Tazy explained to Alexander that chocolate, especially dark chocolate, was poisonous to dogs. Alexander looked upset. Oh, right. The chocolate milk. I should have remembered. I'm really, really sorry, Benj. I would have never tried to poison your dog on purpose. I know that, Alexander. It's no biggie. It was such a small piece, and besides, Super Tazy saved the day. I turned to check on Elvis and saw that he had tracked down the piece of chocolate. Tazy had knocked away. When he looked up at me, I had never seen him more serious. Benjamin, I wasn't going to eat it. I was smelling it, and my suspicion is unfortunately correct. There were walnuts in the chocolate. Uh-oh. This was bad. But I knew he was right because I already felt the effects. The tips of my fingers started to tingle, and my throat felt funny. Elvis stared at me intently. Do you have an EpiPen? I nodded. I always carry two at all times for just this type of emergency. I'm allergic to lots of different things, and I get all types of different reactions. Sometimes I get hives. Sometimes my feet and hands get puffy. Once my entire stomach turned red. But the worst allergy I have is to walnuts. Walnuts make my throat close up, which, given the fact that you need to breathe to live, is not a good thing. Elvis barked. Tell Tazy where it is now. Tazy, I think we have a big problem. My voice was a little shaky. We sure do, she said. I turned around to see Billy Thompson standing behind me. He was gripping Alexander and Tazy by their shoulders. He did not look happy, but I held up my hand and stopped him before he could speak. The chocolate had walnuts. I'm allergic to walnuts. I have an EpiPen in my backpack. I need it now. Where's my backpack? Tazy broke away from Billy's grasp and ran around looking for it. I don't see it. I don't see it, Alexander. Where's Benji's backpack? Alexander closed his eyes for a second and then opened them. He left it at the duck pond. Elvis took off like a cannon for the park. He barked back at me, call Dino. Tazy, call Dino, I whispered. I was really having problems breathing now, and I dropped to my knees. Tazy screamed at Billy and pushed him toward me. Don't just stand there. Go get help. I don't even know what's going on. Billy helped me sit down on the ground. He's allergic to walnuts, and he's going to anaphylactic shock, Alexander yelled. He could die. Tazy screamed at her phone. Uncle Dino, you have to help us. Benji accidentally ate a walnut, and he's sick. She must have had him on speakerphone because I could hear him shouting back at her to calm down and speak slowly. Here, look. She pointed her phone at me, and I saw Dino's face on the screen. I waved at it weakly. Hi, Dino. Tazy, isn't there an adult around? Tazy looked at Billy. Are your parents home? Billy shook his head. I don't have a dad, and my mom's working. No, there aren't any adults. Benji should have an EpiPen with him. I'm going to have to walk you through what you need to do, okay? He'll be just fine in a minute. It's going to be okay. He doesn't have it. I mean, he does, but it's in his backpack, and he accidentally left it in the park. Elvis went to get it. It's not far, and he should be back soon, but what if it's not there? What if someone took it? Tell me what to do, please. Alexander knelt down next to me. His brown eyes watered, and his face wrinkled up. He was trying not to cry. His lips are turning blue. I don't think that's a good thing. I heard Billy shout, the dog is coming, and he's got the backpack. He's just across the street. Man, that dog can run. 30 seconds later, Tazy shook my backpack upside down, and everything poured out of it. I can't find it. What does it look like? Is this it? Alexander ran over to help and opened the front pocket. He pulled out one of the EpiPens and revealed the needle. The universal reaction when kids see needles is total fear. Billy, Tazy, and Alexander all said, whoa. Dino was still on the phone, but I couldn't hear him anymore, mainly because I was on the verge of blacking out. Dr. Helen told me if this ever happened, it was very important to stay calm because panic only makes everything go faster. I tried to focus on breathing as well as I could through my rapidly closing windpipe. So I'm supposed to just stab this into his heart? Asked Tazy. I don't think I could do it. How will I even know where his heart is through his shirt? What? We're supposed to stab him in the heart? Are you sure? He's not a vampire, said Billy. Dino told Tazy that wasn't going to be necessary. All she had to do was jab it in my leg and push the button, which would deliver the medicine. Tazy tossed the pen to Alexander. You do it. Alexander, I don't want to hurt him. I can't. I don't want to mess up. Don't you think I've done enough already? I'm the one who did this to him. You do it. Give me that. You two are such babies. Billy huffed and grabbed the EpiPen. I'll do it. EpiPens work amazingly fast, and within seconds, my throat opened back up and I could breathe again. When I sat up, everyone was sitting on the ground around me. We were all dazed and confused, and all eyes were on me. Billy, can I get some water? Billy stood up and looked at me. His face showed genuine concern. Are you okay? I nodded. Thanks for stabbing me in the leg. It was fine, kind of fun. Come on, it's hot out here. Let's go inside. I've got a fan. Tazy helped me to my feet, and she and Alexander flanked me as we followed Billy into the garage. It was pretty dim inside except for a rusty floor lamp shining on a music stand with sheet music on it. I walked over and looked. Folsom Prison Blues by Johnny Cash. Maybe Elvis does know everything, I thought. Billy walked over to a mini fridge and pulled out a few bottles of water. I sat on an old couch covered with blankets. Tazy sat next to me and Alexander sat next to her. Elvis lay down directly at my feet. He was still breathing heavily from his run to the park. We drank in silence. I drank half my bottle and then nudged Elvis with my foot, and he sat up. I offered him the rest of the water, and he lapped it up like he had been lost in the desert. So, are you sure you're okay now, Benji? I mean, do you need to go to the hospital? I asked Billy. I looked up at him. I found it really odd to hear Billy talk to me in a semi-nice way. I shook my head. No, I'm okay. Those pens work really fast, and I'm fine. I've had this happen to me a few times, so I kind of know the drill. Why were you guys even here? He asked. Ask Tazy, I said. Ask Alexander, she said. Since Alexander didn't have anyone else to pass the buck to, he tried to explain to Billy why we'd come, but first he started with the fact that he has total recall. Billy scowled. I don't care about any of that. Why were you sneaking around like that? Why don't you just knock on the garage door? Because we're all scared of you, I said. So why are you even here then? We're going to stop there. That was a pretty adventurous read for today, don't you think? Mm-hmm. All right. So you can choose to be the kind of leader that you would follow and make it a great day. So long.